Hello, and welcome to the unit on religion and ritual. So, I'm going to start off with a basic definition for religion. For this course, religion is a worldview that orders society and provides its members with meaning, unity, peace of mind, and some degree of control over everyday events. Religion, just like the concept of culture, which is central to this course, is really hard to define. You will have just as many definitions for religion as there are anthropologists of religion. We all have a different take on what religion means to us as scholars of anthropology. But at the same time, for anthropologists, religion is more than, say, the basic um, religious traditions such as Buddhism or Hinduism or Jainism or Christianity. We tend to think of religion in a much broader way, as you will learn throughout this unit. It's also critical for us as anthropologists of religion to make a distinction between the divine and the mundane, or as you will come to know in this course, between what we call the sacred and the profane. So the sacred meaning the divine, and the profane meaning the mundane, the everyday. And I will go into a bit more detail on that point in some of the next few slides. Okay, so as you can see here on this slide, the anthropology of religion goes beyond obvious religious traditions. For anthropologists, religion is all about how humans make meaning out of our everyday experience. This might include, for example, the scientific method. It's an idea, it's a worldview, a way of understanding and ordering the world around us that impacts the sorts of decisions that people may make. Right? Or we can think about this in terms of secular shared norms or values, like the idea of liberty, individual liberty. This is something that American culture values quite highly, but this is not a value or a norm or a concept that all cultures will equally share. But in both of these examples, these are things that we would refer to as occupying the umbrella of religious or anthropologists. So before I go into too much more detail about the anthropology of religion, I need to give you a sense of how anthropologists approach religion. Because certainly you're coming into this class with your own ideas about religion, what religion is, and whether or not you identify as religious. It's important to note that in anthropology, the study of religion is not interested in determining the validity of any particular belief systems. In other words, it's not our job as anthropologists to determine which religion is better or worse, true or false, right? And in fact, anthropologists of religion cringe at the use of the word belief. Not every culture has a term that translates to what we would describe as belief. It simply doesn't exist in every culture, right? The concept of belief, to believe in something, is central to the Christian tradition and practice. For example, this idea in Christianity that you would be able to list out your various beliefs in the Nicene Creed. But in many other religious traditions, there simply isn't this idea of having a list of beliefs. This idea of belief is also important in religions where you're trying to convert someone to learn, oh no, these are our beliefs, right? So you try to teach someone these beliefs and have them list them out. But again, in anthropology, we try to be careful to not make generalizations about, say, religion if it really only applies to Christianity. Anthropologists, again, as I've already mentioned, don't ask whether or not a particular practice or ritual or tradition is real or true or false. That's not our job. Instead, we ask different kinds of questions. For us, it doesn't really matter whether or not it's real. Instead, we want to know how are our interlocutors emotionally impacted by a particular religion or ritual? How do they spend time reflecting upon a ritual? How does that ritual impact their lives? Because if it impacts their lives, then it's real to us as anthropologists. For example, we don't ask, but wait, did Jesus really return to life after death? Right? Instead, an anthropologist might study how evangelical Christians work to develop a relationship with Jesus through prayer by, say, engaging in participant observation in Bible study groups. Okay, I will continue this lecture into part 2.